Hi everyone, Mira Raven, and welcome to MagicFest 5D. I'm here to bring you to your highest timeline. So this week is Valentine's Day week, and Valentine's Day is this Saturday. So I thought that I would make a video talking about relationships in 2026 and just kind of wanted to share some of my thoughts on dating and on, I think, where things are headed. So it's a little bit of, again, one of those opinion videos, but also want to share some insights based off of, my experience. So today's video will be a little less organized, I guess. It'll be a little more stream of consciousness, but I guess all of my videos are kind of stream of consciousness. So anyway, what I want to start with is kind of the situation, the current situation. And I do want to make a disclaimer that I live in Chicago. It's cold, so probably there'll be some background noise from the heat kicking on, and unfortunately the fan is kind of loud, and you should still hear me, but I'm just saying that, I'm a human being. I live in Chicago. The fan just turned off, and I was waiting for it to turn off, and then it turned on. So it is what it is. But anyway, I want to talk about the current situation. And the current situation is kind of a hot mess for both sides. And I've watched a lot of videos. I actually watched a lot of YouTube videos. I've watched a lot of TikToks. And there's an interesting sort of gender war going on between the sexes. So, kind of to sum it up, I feel like for the women, a lot of women are kind of in this like third wave feminism feel, although I will say I think it's actually shifting a little bit where women are actually wanting to reclaim their femininity. We'll get more into that in a minute. But we're kind of coming out of the third wave of feminism, trying to find our way, because after that, women were girl bossing it up, and then men were kind of lost, and so then men became more effeminate and got confused by women, and women got confused by men, and then we're kind of in this weird place where we are now, where, for the men, the men are, some of them are bitter, and again, I'm not saying every single man, of course, there's exceptions and not every single woman, but there's like a general collective, right, feeling and beliefs that, with the men, it's kind of like, okay, like I think generally what I feel from men is that they're confused. Like they're confused, they don't know what women want. And for the women, they're frustrated because, I think women want a balance, but there's there's some women that want like a hyper masculine man, and then there's some women that really want a man who's very like obedient, and men are getting both of these signals and they're confused, and and then with men, I think there's some men that maybe that do want a strong woman, right? A strong, more masculine woman, and some men that want a feminine woman. So I think the moral of the story is I feel like the problem with dating and the problem that's been coming up is that everybody's making assumptions about, well, men want this and women want this, and men should be doing this and women should be doing that. And I think it just depends on the person. Like, it's just two people that are getting together and what is important for them in the opposite sex. If we're talking about heterosexual relationships, which I guess disclaimer, I'm going to talk about heterosexual relationships. I'm not going to talk about LGBTQ relationships just because I am not LGBTQ. So I don't have any perspective on that. So I don't want to talk about something that I don't have perspective on. So I'm going to mostly talk about heterosexual relationships because that's where I have my experience and insight. So that being said, with men, I do think that they are a bit confused. And with women, I think they're a bit burnt out because they've been girl bossing for so long and for so hard. And I want to go deeper into that. So with the girl bossing thing, I think it's great because women got to feel empowered and feel that they, can do what they want to do. And they don't need to be dependent on a man. But in the pursuit of that, I think you can still become imbalanced. And the same can be said for men, right? And so with women becoming more masculine and going and getting what they wanted and becoming their own sort of protectors and providers, which again, there's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is, if you're doing all of that and you're doing everything, then what's happening is men start to question, okay, what am I supposed to do? And then, of course, when you add the fact that a lot of men were not given the proper emotional processing and regulation tools that women were given. So women were given the emotional processing tools, most of us. And most of us have some level of that, and that's conditioned into us. So we had that. So then when we start to go to the part of, okay, I'm just going to do and get things done and be strategic, because of the emotional processing and the regulating of our emotions and understanding and knowing how to nurture ourselves and to nurture others, that is allowing us to be optimized. So when we go to do things, we actually can do that, which is, I think, why a lot of women are becoming maybe even somewhat more successful than men. It's not because women are, I wouldn't say they're superior, because I just don't think either sex is superior to the other one, right? But I do think the reason why women are kind of like really able to get a lot of things, done, and they might be surpassing men right now, okay, hold on, men, right now, some of them are, right? And I think that's because there's a little bit more of a balance because they can regulate their emotions more easily. And then what's happening with men is because women are now taking a lot of men's place in terms of getting things done, I think that it's making the men go, okay, like, what's my purpose? And they're having sort of an existential crisis on a sort of collective level, right? And again, I'm not saying that every man is struggling. I'm just saying generally the male energy, there's something that's happening, right? And so because of that, because a lot of men do not have these emotional regulation tools, some of them are falling apart and they're not able to do and be and optimize themselves as well as they could. Now, there's some men that have those emotional regulation skills, and I think that the ones that know how to sort of show up balanced are gonna be doing great. But the ones that don't, the ones that have never learned those skills, they're gonna be struggling. Those are the ones that are gonna be, getting addicted to corn or being narcissistic or going into addictions or just different things like that, or being single for years and years and years, which there's nothing wrong with being single if that's what you want to do. I know for me, I've been single for a long time, and that's by choice. I'm open to relationships, but it's a matter of finding the right person for me. I'm not like a hookup person, right? So I think that everybody right now is a little confused. Everybody's a little frustrated. And then we haven't even talked about dating apps, right? You've got dating apps, which gamifies dating, right? Oh, it's a lot. It's a lot, right? And then we've got social media and these expectations and all that stuff. So there's just a lot going on in the dating world. So that's the current situation, right? And I see a lot of dating. I've been watching a lot of dating content, and it's been really interesting to watch like the different perspectives and to see like all these like men who are coaching women. And again, I'm not like saying that's bad or anything. It's just interesting, right? Like seeing all these men coaching women and telling women how to be feminine, which is interesting because I had made a TikTok mentioning what I think a real man is in 2026. And boy, oh boy, that was very interesting. I had a lot of very, 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 very aggressive comments on that video. And the funny thing was, I was like literally coming from a place of love. I was just saying like, I think to me, a real man in 2026 is a man who's balanced in his polarity. And that, we love you so much, men, but we also need you to take care of yourselves so that you can take care of us, right? So you can be a protector and provider and all that. And I cannot tell you how many men, I don't know if I just had the wrong captions or the wrong SEO or something in my post, but it was like all of the bitter, negative, unhealed, masculine men came for me in that post. The good thing was like, it was really interesting because I feel like they were trying to tear me apart. Like they were trying to tear me apart. But the funny thing was, it's like I knew what was going on, so it didn't really affect me that deeply. I mean, I felt something because I was like, oh wow, this is clearly they don't like that, But one of the comments was, oh, a woman trying to tell a man how to be a man, and it was kind of like, well, that's not really exactly what I'm saying. I'm not saying like this is how to be a man. I'm just giving my perspective as a woman in terms of dating, right? This is what I consider to be a man. And generally what I see based off of just perspectives that I hear from other women, perspectives that I hear just by watching, where the culture is going. And so I want to sort of go a little deeper with that. This video is going to be long. It's going to be a little longer than some of the other videos. But I feel like this is an important subject to talk about. So if you're enjoying this so far, I want to hear what you have to say in the comments about this subject, because I really think this is a really fascinating subject, dating right now, what's going on with dating. But I do want to kind of shift into, okay, what do I think is the direction, for the new paradigm in dating. And you know what I think it is? I think, I watch these videos, right? These dating videos, and a lot of them talking about, okay, well, women, you need to be feminine so that you can attract a high value masculine man, right? And then I haven't seen a lot of content with women. I need to see more dating content with women, and content that's geared towards men, because I'm curious if there's a lot of women coaches who are telling men you need to be this, or you need to be masculine, I'm very curious about that. But I've seen a lot of men coaches who are coaching women, which is interesting, because there's a lot of men who are being like, oh, you can't tell a man how to be a man, but a man can tell a woman how to be a woman. I don't know. Anyway, but that I know that those men who are coaching the women, they're not those kinds of men either, right? So it's a little bit different. But anyway, that all said, I think that being balanced in your polarity is going to be the new paradigm. Because This is what I was thinking about when I'm watching this video saying, okay, you need to be in your feminine energy so that you attract a man in his masculine energy. But I feel like, if you think about what Carl Jung talked about, anima and animus, right? Which is the yin and the yang. Yin and yang is within all of us. We all have yin and yang, and they have different purposes. And there's, those energies are in nature, right? And so I don't think it's a matter of, I feel like the way that the world looks at gender is it's like feminine, masculine. You're this, right? And it's like, no. There's like two aspects. Feminine, masculine, right? Feminine, masculine, feminine, masculine. We both have both, and they come together like this. They fit like that. Not feminine, masculine, right? There's both, and they both can feed each other. So it's like maybe I'm feeling a little bit more masculine for a moment. Like I look at it more so like at every moment you're leaning a little bit more into your feminine or masculine depending on what you're doing and what the situation requires. And I don't think it's as important that the man is always masculine and the woman is always feminine and they stay fixed in those roles. I don't think that that's realistic, right? I don't think that's realistic. I think what's more realistic is understanding your feminine and masculine within you, and then understanding the nuances of your partner. And if my partner is maybe being a bit more feminine, maybe I am being a little bit masculine for a little bit. But then maybe I get a little more feminine and then I bring out my partner's masculine. It's a dance, right? Like I just don't feel like it needs to be like literally fixed, because I just don't think that makes sense. Because technically at sometimes you are going to have to be a little bit, masculine, right? But generally, if you're a woman and you're being generally more feminine and that's your majority, like your energy and your actions are majority feminine, but you have moments where you could be more masculine. I think that's more nuanced and more realistic than saying you have to be feminine and you can, right? It's like, no, it's not realistic. So anyway, I think that's where dating is going. I think that's the next step for dating, is to get out of these fixed notions of gender and start going, okay, you know what? It's okay. I mean, it doesn't mean like when I say masculine, I don't mean you need to like, and that's the thing. People think masculinity has to be, you got to look like a boy to be masculine. No, it's like me thinking and strategizing. That's masculine energy. So you can't sit here and tell me, oh, okay, well, just stop thinking and stop strategizing so you could be in your feminine energy. No, that's ridiculous, right? So obviously I have to be masculine a little bit, but at the same time, working with my partner, we can leverage each other's skills in different things. So I think what's more important is just understanding the balance and being able to work that out with your partner. Because listen, if your man's a little more feminine and you're a little more masculine and it works for you, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. As long as you guys keep the balance, like, who cares? As long as there's balance, that's the only thing that matters. And I think when we focus on the balance rather than what role we're going to play, then it's good. And realize that you don't have to be, you can be masculine, but yeah, you also want to be able to understand your emotions. And you should. And you should be able to articulate your emotions as a man. And as a woman, you should be able to strategize and get something done if you want to get something done. And have the option of being independent if you want to. And a man should have the option of being able to take care of themselves and cook for themselves if they need to. So that when the two come together, they're choosing each other and they're enjoying the experience of caring for each other and caring for themselves together, right? and having a companion. And then it becomes less about I need you, and it becomes more about I enjoy you. Come have some joyful experiences with me, right? So I can't speak for men, right? Because I'm a woman, I can't speak for men and what they want. But I want to say one more thing to men about my perspective of what women are looking for. So that any men that are watching this, I'm sure there's a lot of women watching this, but any men that are watching this who are wondering, okay, well, what do women want? And I mean, I can't speak for all women, but I can tell you for me, I want somebody who can be masculine. And yes, I'm very independent. I get a lot of things done. Okay, so I feel like there's a lot of women who are similar to me, where it's like I've got a lot of things done. I'm very, I can be very masculine in the sense that I'm a strategizer. I get things done. I think. I go after what I want. I can be a boss. Okay, but I also am extremely loving, extremely nurturing. I'm a total girly girl. Like I am very, like I I have both sides of me, right? And so I think when a woman is independent, men think, oh, well, she doesn't need me, so why bother? I can't do anything for her. But I just think that that's a myth. That's a myth. You can do something for a woman that is independent. And just because she's independent and just because she can do everything herself doesn't mean that she wouldn't appreciate or enjoy you taking care of her. Right? I think that most women just become independent so that they have like a safety net. So like they don't end up in a relationship with somebody just because they need that person. Do you see what I'm saying? Like if you think about it from a woman's perspective, a woman who's able to take care of herself until she can find the right man, like that she can share those things with. And I think that a lot of women are going the route of going independent, not because they don't want a man, but because they don't want to be put in a situation where they have like no choice but to be with a man, because if they don't, they won't survive. You see what I'm saying? And for men, I think men should not want women to be dependent on them and choose them out of necessity, but choose them out of wanting and seeing the value in the man beyond like the basics, beyond just I provide for you. Like seeing the value in a man as a person. And I think men, you would want to be valued for more than just your utility. I think you would want to be valued for who you are, what you bring to the table, beyond just being a provider, beyond just, doing that. Which again, we want you to provide for us, but I feel like women in this day and age are looking beyond just the basics. We're looking for something more nuanced. We're looking for something more developed. And in order to get on that level of development, you need to be more whole, I think, right? And I think that women, a lot of us have become a bit more developed in our personality and who we are, going back to what I said at the beginning of this video, because a lot of us have those skills of emotional regulation and understanding ourselves and being able to reflect and create meaning. And again, it's not to say that men haven't done that, because there's a lot of men who have done that. And for the men who have done that, by the way, wonderful. Congratulations to you, and so happy for you. And hopefully you can encourage and inspire the men that haven't done that yet. So again, I want to reiterate, again, because I think I don't want a repeat of what happened with the TikTok video. I really do believe in men, and I said this in the video, but again, I was met with a lot of side eye. But I really do believe in men. I think there's just like a whole other level that on a collective that they are going to unlock, because it's a matter of going like deeper within themselves. And there's some men that would argue that, oh, you don't need to do that or anything like that. But I don't know. I want to challenge that. I think that you can do that. I think that men and women both have feminine and masculine parts, and those parts do need to be cultivated and nurtured in a balanced way, which means that men, it doesn't mean you're going to act like a woman. It means you're going to understand your emotions and be able to speak them and to be able to transmute them, whether you transmute them through work, be able to, be a bit more aware of yourself, of your actions and your impact, so that you can communicate with the world in a way that is a bit more sophisticated than just either you're mad or horny or angry. Or, well, okay, that's mad and anger are the same thing. Mad, horny, or complacent, or okay, you know what I mean? So I think just really deepening that relationship, I think it's just gonna make things even better. So again, I'd be very curious to hear what people have to say about this subject, what your thoughts are. I love discussion. I am not somebody who's here trying to tell anybody how to be anything. I'm just giving some insights. And also want to let you guys know too, I'm not a dating coach. I'm not trying to coach anybody on dating, but I did want to talk about this subject because it's something that has been on my mind, and I wanted to sort of put it out there into the ethers of YouTube and just see what people think, just to kind of start discussion. But what I do focus on, and one kind of coaching I do provide, is finding your authentic self. So again, this connects to what we're talking about with dating, because with dating, if you don't understand who you are and you are coming into the world with sort of this gendered specific role, or coming in thinking, okay, well, I need to be this like two-dimensional gendered character, whether it's a man or a woman, and you haven't really thought about the nuances beyond that, I think that you're missing out. You're missing out for men and for women. But when you start to peel back those layers of conditioning and you start to understand who you are at the core of it all, then you can walk into the world with a newfound confidence that attracts like souls, right? People that also have been on that journey. And when you're on that deeper journey of understanding who you are truly, then it's easier to date people because you know what you want, you know who you are, you're not going to settle for anything or anyone that does not align with your values. Because if you don't know what your values and what you want from a partner, if you don't even know who you are, how do you know what you want from a partner? You see what I'm saying? So this is almost like a preliminary step before going and dating and getting into dating. So I feel like if any of you are watching this video and you're thinking about getting a dating coach, you may want to see me first and try this authentic, find your authentic self cohort before going to a dating coach, because it'll kind of set you straight and get you moving in the right direction so that you can really think about what you really want, what you're trying to bring in, right, to your love life. That being said, this video is way longer than any video I've ever done, but I just had a lot to say, I guess, about this topic. So I'd be very curious to hear your thoughts. If you would like to get a free coaching call with me and be one of 5 people who get to be a part of my very first 8-week cohort program, you can get a coaching call with me below at the link in the description. And yeah, I hope everybody is having a wonderful week. I hope everybody has a lovely Valentine's Day, and I will see you next time. Peace, everyone.